Welcome everyone to the explanation of how to graph data on a coordinate plane. Also a brief review of what a coordinate plane is composed of and where you find things on the coordinate plane. So let's get started. Okay, so this is a coordinate plane. It's called a coordinate plane, first of all, because it's a plane, a flat surface. It's called a coordinate plane because every time you put a point on this coordinate plane, it has references. You have the ability to tell people where to find the point. And that is according to these two number lines, the x-axis, which is a horizontal number line, and the y-axis, which is a vertical number line. And so we use the coordinates, we use the references along those axes to tell us how to locate a particular point, and that the references are actually called coordinates. Okay, so because this plane is divided into 4 sections, we call those each section a quadrant, and each quadrant has a name. The name is a Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you need to know how to make the Roman numeral, and you also need to know which Roman numeral, which quadrant is called which thing. So I discovered one day when I was explaining this to someone that if you start here in quadrant 1 and you go around to quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4, if you notice, you make a C. And what about a coordinate plane starts with the letter C? Well, amazingly, the actual word coordinate starts with C. Right here. There's my C in coordinate plane. So hopefully that'll be a little clue to help you remember where to start the names of your quadrants, because most people want to go left to right, and that's incorrect. Starts in quadrant 1 where all the numbers are positive because they would be to the right of 0 on the x-axis and to the and above 0 on the y-axis. Okay, let me get rid of this. All right. Also, these two axes intersect at a specific place, namely the origin. And the reason it's called the origin is because that is where all of the numbers originate or start from on the axes on each number line. So on the x-axis going this way, this would be the point 0 right there. And on the y-axis going up and down, that place right there would be the point 0. So that's why it's called the origin. And you notice we have named that point using a particular system, which is called an ordered pair. An ordered pair consists of those parentheses, you notice, that are right there, to show that it's an ordered pair. And then inside the parentheses, we have what we call the x-coordinate, or where you are along the x-axis, the reference number. And then we have what we call the y-coordinate, which tells you where to locate the point along the y-axis. Okay, so in this particular case, that point right there, the point where the two axes intersect, is the ordered pair 0, 0, because we didn't go anywhere to the left or to the right on the x-axis. We started at 0, and we didn't go anywhere up or down on the y-axis. We stayed at 0. That's how we come up with that origin, the ordered pair for the origin. It's also helpful to know that all the numbers on this side are positive on the x-axis, and all the numbers above 0, just like on a thermometer, are positive. And on the other hand, all the numbers to the left of 0 on the x-axis are negative, and all the numbers underneath 0 on the y-axis are also negative. Okay, so we have the positives up and to the right, and the negatives to the left and down. And you start counting from 0, so this would be -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. Okay, And right here on underneath, you would start counting at 0, and you count -1, -2, -3, -4, just like you do on any normal number line. Okay, so let's discuss how they came up with this ordered pair. All right, so this is the point that we're talking about right there. I'll color it in a little bit. Okay, all right. So if you look along the x-axis, because that's what we start with, and it's really great because remember our ordered pair is in the order x comma y, and that's alphabetical. So that makes things really super easy to remember which one should come first. So along the x-axis, we're counting from 0. We're going to count 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So that's where I came up with -3. And then the reference along the y-axis, I had to go 1, 2, 3, 4 up. And so that gives me the 4 for the y coordinate along the y-axis. You notice that this ordered pair, this point, is in quadrant 2. So in quadrant 2, all of the x coordinates are going to be negative because it's to the left of 0. And all of the y coordinates are going to be positive because the points in that quadrant are going to be above 0 on the y-axis. And we could go through that for all of them, but I'm not going to do that. Okay? So remember, to the left is negative, to the right is positive, up is positive, and down is negative. Okay, so I also explain all of those things that I just talked about on this slide, so you have it all written down for you. So you can just read through that if you want to. All right, we're going to do a couple of examples. Okay, so let's say that we have this point plotted right here on my graph, and I want to do two things. I want to find the coordinates. Okay, so the coordinates I'm going to abbreviate. Okay, I want to find the coordinates, so I want to find the ordered pair of that point, and I want to find out the quadrant. So again, I'm going to abbreviate the quadrant. Okay, so let's start with the coordinates. Okay, remember this is the x-axis. Sorry, my bad. This is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. Okay, so we start with, in our ordered pair, we're going to start with the x coordinate. So for the coordinates of this point, we're going to first we're going to put them in parentheses, starting with our x coordinates. So we're going to start here at 0, and we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hops to the left. So that means our x coordinate along the x-axis, that means our x coordinate is -6. And then starting on the y-axis to get to that point, we would have to go down 1, 2 hops. So that means the y coordinate is -2. Okay, so those are the coordinates. The quadrant, remember the quadrants go quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, because it's a C. All right, so quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, so that means we are in quadrant 3 this time. Okay, so that's how you would graph or name the coordinates and name the quadrant for a point. Okay, last thing. Let's say that I asked you to graph the ordered pair. Let's go over here and just write it. 0, -9. Okay, so 0, -9. Alrighty. 0, -9. The x coordinate is 0. So that means I'm not going to go any place on the x-axis. So I'm just going to stay right here. And then from there, I have to count 9 down because it's negative on the on the y-axis. So I'm going to count down 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that would be the ordered pair 0, 9. And I'm going to ask you to write the ordered pair next to the point that you graph so that we know what point you mean by that dot. Okay, 0, -9. So now I have a trick question that I'm going to ask you. The trick question is, which quadrant is that point located in? So remember my quadrants. Starting in the upper right-hand corner, I have quadrant 1. Then I go in the direction of a C if I was going to make a C. So this is quadrant 2. This is quadrant 3. And this is quadrant 4. So now the question is, in which quadrant does 0, -9 lie? Well, I told you it was a trick question, and the reason it's a trick question, but a trick question, the reason it's a trick question is because the point 0, -9 isn't in any quadrant because it's on an axis. So since 0, -9 is on an axis, it's in no quadrant. And on your practice, it's going to ask you to name either the quadrant or the axis. And this is the y-axis. So we would just write y. Oops, I can't write it there. Y-axis. The same would be true if we had an ordered pair, a point plotted on the x-axis. It would not be in a quadrant either, because it's between two quadrants, so we would just say it lies on the y-axis. Okay, that's pretty much how easy it is. Good luck with that. Make sure you pay attention to the fact that the first number they give you is along the x-axis, or called the x-coordinate, and the second number that is in the ordered pair tells you is the reference along the y-axis or along the vertical axis. Good luck.